Today's video is brought to you by Audible. Get your free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/MagzTV or click the link in the video description below. G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to DCS World with Mags, and welcome aboard the Mirage 2000. So we're just going to start off getting the aircraft ready for takeoff. We do not want the collision beacons on, so we'll flick that one off. Now we want countermeasure systems preset, so get the jammers ready. We want to set the countermeasure program to 5 and make sure it is set to semi-active. And we're just going to check to make sure everything is warming up. So the radar is warming up, the missiles are warming up, and we are ready for takeoff. Just building up speed, getting ready for rotate. And rotation. We're clear, and landing gear up. Alright, we're going to make a long left-hand bank and cut down the coastline away from our target zone to gain some altitude before we engage in the fight. So in this mission, Russian forces are deploying a new A-50 recon aircraft into the area, and there has been a build-up of Russian air forces. The enemy force consists of a flight of MiG-21s and a flight of MiG-29s, and they do appear hostile. So our mission today consists of two parts. Our primary objective is to shoot down the A-50 AWACS aircraft. Our secondary objective is to clear the skies of all Russian fighters. Our flight is a 4-ship of the Mirage 2000c armed with 2 R550 Magic infrared guided missiles and 2 R530 Matra semi-active radar guided missiles. Now I do have to say in advance that this was my first combat flyout in the Mirage 2000 in some time. I've just been too busy playing around with other modules, which is a shame because the Mirage 2000 is one of my favourite fighter modules, full fidelity fighter modules in DCS at this time. And yeah, coming back to it, I had clearly gotten a little rusty. I make a couple of very simple mistakes near the end that I'm sure those of you who are familiar with the aircraft will get quite the laugh out of. And we're just passing 16,000 feet now at 377 knots and dropping. I'm just bringing the nose down so we can maintain airspeed at this time. The RWR is reading targets relatively close, just about to enter the high risk area. But at this point we've got no lock warnings or anything else, so we seem to be in a relatively good position at this point. I'm aiming for 20,000 feet, and then I'm going to drop the tanks and set myself up ready for combat. Alright, so we overblew that a little bit to 22,000 feet, but that is fine. So just holding the aircraft relatively level. Then we're going to activate the autopilot and the auto level system so I can take hands off controls. And it looks like the targets have gotten close enough to start locking us up, so we'll activate the jammer. And now I need to get rid of this drop tank, so we set the jettison, select the drop tank, and I made a little mistake here. I forgot to actually flick the master arm first. The Mirage 2000 treats the drop tank as a weapon system, so you must have master arm on in order to release the tank. And that's it, tank away. Jettison flap closed, master arm is still set to on, weapon systems are active, and I'm set to the Matra R30 missile to start with. And the radar is now on and active as well, so time to start looking for targets. Sounds like we've got solid locks, countermeasures. And just scanning on the radar here at the moment, picking up our first target. Now the radar system on the Mirage 2000 can be somewhat temperamental. Missile away. It can lose lock rather easily if the aircraft is heavily maneuvering. And I messed up right there by turning away from the target. I should have kept the target in the center of the circle, and that probably would have been a kill. Matra is now missed. passing through the enemy formation at this point. So we're going to flick back over to the Magics, because at this point we are in knife fighting ranges. We're going to do a high speed, hard left bank into an upward spiral so I can get back above the targets and get ready to re-engage. And then the Magic grabs itself a target, and Fox 2. Splash 1. At this point I've pulled up and over most of the engagement, so invert and straight into a dive. And as we're diving through, I pick up another target. Bring the nose around. We still have the Magics loaded. Good tone. Fox 2. And Splash 2. Now at this point I'm going to have to disengage from this fight. I've fired off one of my 530 Mantra missiles and missed. I've used both of my Magics. This leaves me with one 530 Mantra left over and the main guns. And at this point nobody has actually gone after the main target of this mission yet, which is the Mainstay, the A50 AWACS aircraft that is deployed and floating around the back lines. It's pretty easy to spot. It's a huge aircraft, has a massive radar signature, and it's not engaged in this main fight. So picking it up was very simple on radar, but we've got to catch it and intercept it in order to complete this mission, and at this point it has to be getting ready to run home. And we've entered the eerie silence of supersonic flight. With the throttles punched into the firewall, we've passed Mach 1.2 at this point and are still accelerating away from the engagement area. And we have locked up the A50. We're still outside of weapons range. The R530 is only a medium short range semi-active radar guided missile. It is not for BVR length combat, so we are not in a position to be able to fire it at this time, but we have got it locked up and centered. And I had the master caution beeping at me here, and I was trying to work out what was going on until it clicked. I actually made a mistake when I released the drop tanks. When the Mirage 2000 has a drop tank fitted, it has a restrictive mode where the fly-by-wire system prevents you from pulling beyond a certain level of Gs because of the risk of potentially tearing the drop tank off the bottom of the aircraft, because the Mirage is capable of maneuvering that hard. When you drop the tanks, you're supposed to flick a switch that puts it out of this mode and puts the aircraft into full flight mode, allowing you to pull the maximum number of Gs that the aircraft is capable of. I forgot to do that, and the second I went supersonic, the master caution was beeping at me because the aircraft was actually in a restrictive control mode while moving at an extreme speed. So that's fixed up now, but I could have been maneuvering a hell of a lot harder than I was in that fight. And I've just dropped contact with the A50 on radar, so I'm just trying to reacquire it now, and it's not actually popping up on the radar. I think it's gotten below the cone, but it doesn't really matter at this point because I can see the aircraft directly. So I'm going to drop in straight behind it, lock it at close range, and put the 530 right up its ass. Blackout done right. And the A50 seems fairly aware that I'm here at this point, not that it's going to help it. Line up and lock the target, put it in the center of the scope, and pull the trigger. Fox 1. And this is where everything really starts going wrong. That's not a splash. Aircraft's still active. It just took the 530 up the arse, and it's still going. And that of course means I'm out of missiles. That's fine, I've still got the guns. And the guns on the Mirage are truly fantastic. It's armed with two 30mm cannons. Now there's only 125 rounds in each gun, they're revolver cannons, but so you don't waste ammunition, there is a control inside of the aircraft that will allow you to select exactly how many rounds you fire on each trigger pull. At the moment I have it set to 8 rounds per gun. So on trigger pull, 16 round burst. And this is where I run into possibly the most embarrassing problem that I encountered. I've got the guns armed, everything's ready to engage this aircraft, but I cannot for the life of me remember how to turn the gun snake on. Now for those of you who don't know, the Mirage 2000 has a targeting reticle for the guns called the gun snake. It's essentially a line that emits from the direction of travel of the aircraft, and it snakes back based on the maneuvers the aircraft is doing with cross hashes at certain ranges, so you can line the aircraft up on whichever particular range, pull the trigger, hit the target. Pretty simple. The problem is I normally have it bound to a key on my HoTaS, so I just hit it. Got him. Normally have it bound to a key on my HoTaS where I just hit and the gun snake comes up. Well, that key wasn't bound because I've had to rebind all my controls, and for the life of me I couldn't remember what to hit inside the cockpit to actually make the gun snake come up while I was flying at this point. So I decided that the only real option that I had at the moment was to just dead-eye the aircraft. So I've been firing off a couple of bursts just to try and get a feel for where the guns are aiming. I can't do too many of those because, as I said, only 125 rounds per gun, and I'm firing them off 8 rounds at a time out of each weapon. So yeah, this took a little bit longer to kill than I was expecting. And I was just way too high there. This A50 pilot must be laughing his ass off at me at this point. So I disengaged for a few seconds to see if I could get the gun snake back up. No love, so just come back in. We need to finish off this A50 before it gets much further along its flight path, otherwise it's going to be under the cover of Russian SAMs defending the airfield. And this time, tail off, and we take the wing as well. And with that, our primary mission objective has been completed, and the secondary objective was finished up by my wingman as I broke out of the fight before. So, at this point, RTB. So, with the throttles firewalled, we head our way back home. Now, a couple of things with this video. I'm trying something a little bit different with my DCS videos from now on. This is going to be the first run of it. This is part of a pair. This battle is the main battle and the mission as it took place. The second video, which I'll be uploading directly after this one, that goes with it, will be the TAC view for this particular battle, giving you a much more in-depth look of what was going on during that actual fighter engagement near the start of this mission. So keep an eye on the channel for the second upload, and I hope you like the idea. Now, as always, I'd like to put out a special thank you to my sponsor Audible for their support on the channel. Audible is a fantastic place to go and get all of your audiobook needs, 180,000 titles in total to choose from, ranging from everything from science fiction, fantasy, up to history pieces as well. I've just recently finished 44 Days, which is the story of Australia's 75th Squadron and the 44 days that they were isolated in Papua New Guinea fighting against the Japanese. And I'm about to start Guts and Gunships, which is true stories of real helicopter pilots during Vietnam and what it was actually like to fly them. As always, if you'd like to get one of these audiobooks for free and a 30-day free trial as well, go to www.audibletrial.com/MagzTV or click the link in the video description below. It's simple enough to sign up and you get something cool out of it while also helping support the channel. Anyways, ladies and gents, I'm going to leave you off with this one. The landing was a little rougher than I would have liked here. I got a little slow and started to wing stall right before touching down, so I had to hit the burners to give myself a little bit of an extra oomph. It was smooth enough, but still harder than I would have liked. Anyways, until next time, click that like button, subscribe if you want to see more, and as always, fly smart, fly safe, and I'll catch you in the skies.